I don't even show up on those days. I have like a prosthetic dummy that they bring out. So I just,
she's not lying. I had to carry the dummy on a horse with one arm. I'm riding a 14-foot Friesian through the forest with an 85-pound dummy in my arm trying to ride.
So Rosamund, first question is for you. I'm kind of wondering, Moiraine is such a big, interesting character. What do you love about her? Like what sort of essence do you sort of connect to?
I love the balance in her. I love the contradiction between how still and calm she can be, knowing the tremendous power that she can unleash. And I think that's only interesting, to be that quiet and calm and stealthy when you know what the polar opposite is, which is when you're unleashing, creating fires and calling down lightning from the sky. I think it's always interesting when a character has great power to know what they're like in stillness. I think that's always interesting to me. And I think she's got many, many layers that we're only just starting to see the top view of. So I've got a long way to go with her.
Well, speaking of that stillness, I have kind of a silly question. You are quite ill for some of the first 3 episodes, and you do a lot of sort of like laying there, very serene.
Very nice segue, Mara. I completely agree with you.
I'm great at segues, guys. So I'm wondering, how do you play sort of like asleep convincingly? Or do you just play?
I don't even show up on those days. I have like a prosthetic dummy that they bring out. So I just,
she's not lying. I had to carry the dummy on a horse with one arm. I'm riding a 14-foot Friesian through the forest with an 85-pound dummy in my arm trying to ride. Makes for some interesting days. But no,
we are being a bit facetious. But there is a Moiraine double that is a dummy, which is used for when sort of dangerous horse riding has to be done with 2 people on a horse. But it is a shame to me. I mean, I was disappointed not to feature so much in episode 3, because I feel that Moiraine has only just established her power, and we start to see it wane.
Yeah.
But
she did take a pretty big hit.
Yeah, and we know that Trolloc poison is it has a sort of taint that lasts longer than even if the surface wound is healed. And Aes Sedai, one of the things that we learn a bit later is that Aes Sedai, while brilliant healers of others, cannot heal themselves.
Right, and the systems are not close to time, so.
Yeah, not a lot of hospitals either in the area. Can't really go call for help that much. Daniel, your character is sort of kind of a mystery still at this point. And if you haven't read the books, you don't really know what's coming. Who do you think he sort of is at his core?
At his core, I think he's a boy without a home. I think that's what I really love about Lannis's journey, where he's come from, being taken out of the kingdom when he was an infant and raised by soldiers, and his entire story, then eventually finding a home with Moiraine. I think she kind of represents home to him. And so that's who he is. And then, of course, he's bonded to her, and he is her guardian and protector and bodyguard and all those things. But he's also her confidant and friend and, partner in this journey. So he's a lot of things. I don't know if I answered your question, but at the core, he's a very loyal man, like a boy with no home.
How did you come up with your one power moves? Like, I assume it was a process with a choreographer. Did you have any, I want to do this, like vibes going in?
Yes, I wanted to do something different. I sometimes feel, that, well, it's more what I wanted rather than what there were things that I didn't want it to look like. And I think it was very, very important to me that you would believe that I was channeling. If there were no visual effects, I wanted to feel that an audience could believe that this essence was flooding me, was coming in a kind of vascular way into my veins. As Robert Jordan describes in the book, this is all led by the text. But and he describes the one power very, very evocatively, like a kind of, delicious, addictive elixir that can possess you, but is also dangerous. Too much of it, it's very addictive, can burn you through, and you have to learn to control it. And I think that it's so visceral. If I want to feel that this is filling me, and it's something that you almost have to wrestle with, that you have to draw it and it has weight, and I think too often magic seems flimsy. I wanted to see the impact of it coursing through your body, because it's not like you just produce it. It talks about it as channeling, which means you are the channel. It's coming through you. And I wanted to feel, if this massive power is coming through you, what does that look like? So, those are my curiosities. And so I've put those curiosities on screen and worked with Scarlett Macmin, who's a choreographer and movement coach dancer who I've worked with for years on lots of different things. So that was a joy to bring her onto the project too.